Hey, this is Artsy Wisdom. My name is Diane. Thank you for visiting, coming to my channel. Uh, I'd like to welcome any new people that happen to be stopping by. And I want to thank all my new subscribers, all my old subscribers, people that have been here since day one, and those of you that keep coming back. Thank you so much. I want to continue to bring light into the world. And I'm learning as I go. Before I go on to, I just want to say if I offend anybody, I don't mean to when it comes to this topic. Learning lots of things. And hopefully I will continue to learn and share that with you. Today's video is it's a short video. I'm going to try to make it short. A lot of times I talk too long, and it's late at night, so I shouldn't talk too long because I'll probably have to go to bed soon. But it's about King Charles' diagnosis, and I wanted to tell you what I felt when I went into his energy. I also wanted to share with you some personal experiences in my life. I had cancer. I had breast cancer in October of 2012. This is a good story. It's not a bad story. It's a good story. And I wanted to share with you some of the sensitive stuff. And I'm aware that not everybody looks at cancer the same way. Some people need to follow their own path and how they negotiate the feelings, because they happen. Caregivers' feelings, spouses, partners, children, parents, how that all you feel about your journey. No judgment, no harm, no foul. Everybody does things different. So I know this might be sensitive for a lot of people. You're not interested. That's okay. I'm just going to share a little bit and talk about what I think might be occurring, but I'm not Charles. But I'm going to get into my thing in a little bit. But for right now, I just wanted to tell you, I went into his energy earlier today, and I had heard there was a couple psychics, Linda G, and actually there was a couple of Vedic astrologers too that I had looked at. And they had said that he's going through a really difficult time in his chart. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. I do Western astrology. So I haven't studied that. So I just know that what they explained, and I kind of got the gist of it. And that he is going through a difficult time, and his chart he was born into, he's had health issues, not horrible ones, but I guess he just has pressure there in that part of his chart, his astrology chart, Vedic astrology. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm going to tell you how my feelings, my opinions about my experience, and what I saw today in regards to King Charles. Okay, so when I meditated on him, I saw that I felt like, and I was reminded of a couple years ago, I think I did a video like last year, or maybe it was last year, talking about where I felt like he wasn't going to stay long in the position as the sovereign in the kingship. I don't know the title, how you would say that. But I don't think he'll stay long. I knew he wouldn't, but I wasn't sure if it was 6 months or 5 years. That's the feeling I got. Because the energy then was that he was waiting and waiting, but he was also, I think, a little bit intimidated, even though he's been prepared for 75 years. He's never been the one to stand out in front of the crowd. I don't feel he's comfortable there. So I think if he makes it through the year, not health-wise, but just staying in his position, and he doesn't abdicate for William, I think I'd be surprised. My sense is that by May, and time is nebulous, it changes all the time. It's a spiral. I've said this before. You can jump from one end to another, and your free will really changes many, many things. So my feeling right now, today, is that by May, he's going to step down, and William will take over. That's what I felt like when I sat down. But when I went into his energy, a couple days ago when it came out, in the news that he was diagnosed, I thought, oh, his prostate, they didn't find it there, but maybe it was a testicular cancer because it's not far from there. And when I meditated, I didn't feel like it was there. I saw, well, first of all, I saw him left, like his whole left side of his body was moving, and I could feel a burning on his bottom, and I could feel like he was turning, like he was using his left hand or using his left side of his body, not in a unhealthy way, just I think and then I looked it up, he is left-handed, so I didn't know that. So he's left-handed, and so his energy is his left side, which is his past lives, which is he's using the right part of his brain, so that means he's very creative, and I guess hence all the stuff that he likes to do with, his different projects about clean food and architecture and things like that. And he's a Scorpio, so he's sensitive like that. And so I saw it on the left side, and I felt the burning on his bottom, and I don't know if that was from the prostate or not. I don't feel like it's really good. But as I sat with it, I'll explain a little bit further. I don't feel the energy around this is good. It doesn't feel as if there's something with the way it's progressing that he has all the best doctors in the world, but I don't feel like, not that he doesn't have enough time or anything, but it's like it's happening, whether he can stop it or not. I do think whatever it is, they're going to slow it down dramatically. I think it's going to really wear on his body. I think it's somewhere around his tailbone and part of his colon. That's the energy. That's where I kind of felt it landed. I don't want it to be bone cancer because that's pretty scary, but it's there in his bottom somewhere down there. And I could be wrong. I mean, this was just visions, right? This could be crazy talk. But I wanted to tell you what the other thing I saw was I don't feel his sadness. I don't feel his anger yet or anything. I don't feel like he's going, woe is me. I do feel like he's positive at the moment, that he has lots of options. And I also saw him as really young, and I saw him, and I got in his energy, and I saw him like in a mirror, like looking at myself, him, and he was young, black hair, maybe 35, 40, and chin out. And almost, I could feel the strength of his feeling like, okay, I have these ancestors, I have this DNA, I have this history of sovereigns and soldiers and courage behind me. That is like he's using that strength, and it was so heartening and so encouraging to see that, because it's almost like not so much it's kind of like a fighting sense, but just the most interesting thing was that it's like, it's my blood, it's my DNA. I am them. I am the people, my history, my family behind me, and there's that strength. It may be part of his father as well, but I got it was more distant, and I could just see him so proud, and his chin is out, and like no fear. It was, I'm a fighter, I'm a warrior. So that made me so happy to see or feel. I saw, I did see, I don't know why, I saw Diana yelling at him. She was yelling at him to get things checked out sooner, although he didn't know anything about this. So I don't know if there was other symptoms. I also saw that Diana does not love Meghan for Harry, but she understands why, because she blames her genes for that a little bit. The Spencer side, that Harry's, kind of I don't know, chose Megan for the reasons that she brought into the family. I do think no matter what, he's going to abdicate eventually. I do think it's quite possible. This is one of the many paths, or one of the scenarios that I saw, was that he abdicates, the stress is relieved, and the doctors work with him more and more. He's weaker and tired, but he can just take care of himself. Because right now I think he's pulled in many, his work, he's a very busy person, works really hard in service. Yeah. So it's just, he's going to leave, and it almost gives him a reason to, because he is already tired, and he was going to do it anyway. He was going to be the king, but I don't think he's all in. Yeah. And I think the adrenaline is pumping through him right now because of his diagnosis, that I think it's going to start crashing. So let me just talk about me. Oh, Toby Keith passed away. That song, let's talk about me, talk about you, let's talk about whatever. I forget that song. Let's talk about me. I love that song. It's too bad. Can't stay all here together forever, but yeah. So I felt his energy when you feel like you're good, even though they have all these, you have this diagnosis, and you have put a lot of faith in your doctors and the hospitals, and they do. They know so much stuff now than they ever used to. So, and there's a lot of certified, targeted treatments with your genes and DNA, which I think he might get some of that. But I do think he's getting radiation. So, but first of all, let's all send positive well wishes. I know many of you are not royal and interested in the royals, but I don't know if you made it this far into the video. But if he's just another human, let's just send prayers to anybody who's suffering with cancer, anybody who's a caregiver to those who are suffering with cancer, and may their suffering be short-lived, and may they find peace, or maybe a healing, and find that miracle, because miracles do happen every single microsecond. They do. Okay. All right. So yes, 12 years ago, in the last October, I had cancer, breast cancer. It was a small one. I thought it was a cyst, but it wasn't. It was a lump. I found it myself. I had a mammogram in February. By October, I felt this, and I thought it was a cyst. Sometimes women can get painful bumps and things, and that's what I thought it was. And I went, and so it was 8 months, and it was growing fast, because I heard cancer doesn't hurt. But what it was growing quickly. And so when the doctor said sometimes when they grow so quickly that hurts. So it pushes on nerves. Anyway, they did catch it early, but I always knew that I wanted to have double mastectomy if that ever happened to me. And I did with reconstruction. I did that within a month, on Thanksgiving actually. So, but I wanted to tell you that when you're processing that feeling, this is a funny thing. I went for a walk, and I wanted to say this because it's so where I am right now about getting messages from nature. So when I was walking, I used to go on these walks in these acre lots not far from our house. And this was right around the same time that I was feeling that lump, and I didn't go for a couple of weeks because I thought it wasn't anything. And I walked around, and I saw this super random thing. So I saw this, it's a chain link fence. So these are just acre lots, and sometimes there's cows and horses and ostriches and things. There was a vulture on a chain link fence 6 feet from me, 5 feet from me, as I'm walking by. Huge, vultures are huge. And on the ground in front of her, was another dead animal. And I don't remember what it was. It was something black. And I don't know if it was another bird or what, but he was there and he was not moving. So I kind of went around and out away. And I was thinking, oh, the vulture is either guarding it or I don't know. Then as I'm walking, I see a giant tom turkey crossing in front of me with its tail feathers up and the whole big thing. Because there was a little ranchette over here where people raise turkeys, but I don't know how it got out. I don't know what happened. But this turkey walked in front of me, and I was thinking, okay, that's so weird. Why the vulture and this giant turkey within, he's right in front of me, like 10, 15 feet. And then I get this diagnosis, and then I have surgery on Thanksgiving. So maybe I'm interpreting, but what I interpret is vultures, they're, and they eat dead animals. So he was eating this dead animal, I think, on the ground. It was Thanksgiving, and there was the big turkey. And it was a positive feeling when I saw the turkey. Not that he was going to have a bad Thanksgiving. But I remember thinking, oh, this is the message. But I didn't realize it till after the fact. Super, super strange. So I just wanted to share that too as part of this whole experience. If you're open to listening to and seeing and feeling messages around you. So what I wanted to discuss about is what I learned as I processed these feelings. I learned that I'm mortal and that I'm not that special. Special meaning anybody can get sick. We all think, especially, I never smoked. I drank in college and I still have drinks now, but I thought I was living healthy. I ate lots of vegetables and salads and sometimes it's DNA. But in my case, I think it was stress. There was a perfect storm of stress. My birth father had died 1 year almost exactly. He died on Thanksgiving the year before, with whom I didn't have a great relationship. We visited over the years, but there wasn't he was a miserable person and unhappy, and we didn't see each other often. And when I would go back to town, I would see him. But he died, and I felt more than I thought I would about that. And I was actually, it was a relief. When he passed, I felt that my body, not because he was gone, but his pain. I was carrying his pain. There was one. I was carrying my grandmother's pain. This is what I learned from having cancer. I carried my grandmother's and all the women in my family, all the negative emotions they had with alcoholic husbands. I was a repository. I felt like that. My breasts were a repository for the DNA, the women, the history, the karma of my family. And I know that's true. And so I think that, and then the stress of my marriage, not this marriage, but previous marriage. I was married for many decades. It was getting really bad. And then my father, my stepdad, who raised me, he got diagnosed with colon cancer. So my dad died. And then like 4 months later, my stepdad got diagnosed with colon cancer. And then I was diagnosed that October, had the surgery in November. And then I had chemo starting in January to May. I had chemo. My cells were triple negative, so they didn't have now they have more targeted approach, but then it was just throw everything out of it. And so I had it every 2 weeks, and I painted murals, and I did them on the opposite weeks. I was able to do that. I was very proud of myself. And I also learned that I felt different than some other women that had breast cancer, because I see all these support groups, and they're wonderful. People need that for a lot of things. But by then I had been to my adult children of alcoholic meetings, and I had done a lot of work on myself. Not that I didn't need them. I'm just continuing to tell you this story, is that I wanted to feel as normal as possible. And I wanted to, maybe I was pretending that everything was going to be okay, but I looked at it as I was manifesting my life was going to be good. And I was healing myself. And I was proactively, even prior to surgery, eliminating the tumor from my breast. I was taking it out. I was seeing the surgeon cutting it away and it just falling away and nothing attaching, nothing in my lymph glands, nothing, which there wasn't. And it ended up being a little bit bigger than they thought, but it didn't go anywhere. So a meditation on my website here for chemo patients, because I turned it into a positive. I turned it into medicine, because chemo is the chemical in chemotherapy is poison, basically. It's killing all your fast-growing cells. That's why your hair falls out and your stomach lining gets destroyed. But the chemo, I did that meditation on making it a medicine, and it was helping me. I was reframing it. I was using all my hypnotherapy and self-hypnosis techniques, and I also had a lot of faith, and I used spirit and my angels around me. In fact, here's the story. I was in surgery, or I was in the curtain room, and I would do this often where I'd ask for guidance from angels, but it was so clear that I was laying in the bed preparing psychologically, and I asked my angels to protect me, Archangel, whoever it was I asked, I don't remember exactly, but within me even thinking it, or I didn't say it out loud, but I could hear, like when a soldier with armor on, like whoosh, whoosh, like they both like came to the edge of my room, or my little cubby there with my bed in it, and it was like, and they were huge, and I could sense them, and it became my understanding more and more. That was part of my understanding, that all I have to do is ask. Meanwhile, I'm getting the professional help, medicines, and all the stuff I need to do with Western medicine, as well as helping myself, mindfulness, and de-stressing. So stress kills, and I told you that. All the family members that got sick, and then as time passed, the emotions percolate up. So that's why I wanted to say with King Charles, I think right now he's a little bit of an adrenaline high, and the mortality thing kind of creeps up on you little by little, because you don't think. In fact, I didn't. I paid to have my tests ran again because I didn't believe I had it. So I did. So I realized over the years. Oh, and then my husband got diagnosed with the prostate cancer. Then he had the hip replacements, and then over time, and we were growing apart. And I just decided life is too short. I cannot live and tolerate days and years of just tolerating, surviving, because I had done it for years, and I think that's what contributed to my health, my cancer. One of the many things, other, a lot of the inherited issues with the women in my family. But ultimately, I found a lovely man, and who thinks you can't find somebody, in your late 50s, early 60s. I did. He's wonderful, and he's just so giving and kind, and I wouldn't accept anything less. I never would again. I would never accept anything unless somebody opened up my world and made it better, because I wasn't willing to compromise anymore. So what did I learn through cancer? It's a blessing, and that it's not a death sentence. You do have to do all the work inside and out there in the world. And I sense that King Charles has a lot of work, and there's many people out there that are in this very moment doing that work, and it sucks. But you'll get through it, and you will come out the other side and be amazed. Okay? So I think that is what I wanted to say. Yeah. hopefully that wasn't too long-winded. And if you have any comments or questions, and like I said, this isn't a no judgment zone, and I don't know what anybody's going through, and so many people are going through any number of things. That's just my story. Okay, you guys take care and subscribe. I will be doing more political predictions here coming soon. There's a lot of stuff happening in the United States. It's kind of crazy, and I think it's only going to get a little bit nuttier. So, okay, take care. Till next time.